Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific Northwest, from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The four all-star Mariners, baby.
For All Stars is correct. We'll be breaking that down. We'll be talking about the All Star game that's coming up next week. We'll be talking about the most recent homestand against the Royals and the Pirates. We'll be talking about the upcoming road trip to New York and Detroit, picks to click, top hitters, top pitchers. This is an action packed, locked and loaded episode. Be
Sure.
prepared for this to go a little bit long. But before we do that, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy who's like a perennial all-star on this and coming with hard hits every time, throwing deep into the seventh, day in, day out, that's me, your boy Coach Red. Find me on X, the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and leave a comment or two. And if you're looking for a guy who is also an all-star,
That's right.
he's more of that lunch pail all-star. He's like Mike Trout. He's gonna make it like every year. He could be hurt, but still gonna make it.
That's true.
And
Uh,
that sometimes is a very polarizing thing, and sometimes Kane can be pretty polarizing. And I dropped his name, but why doesn't he tell you right now?
yeah, I'm Kane. You can find me over on Twitter, Kane2406, TikTok and Twitch, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Pause. Do it, freaking do it.
We're going to start the episode with talking about Cal Raleigh. We'll get to the other all stars a little bit later in the episode, but Cal Raleigh, starting catcher for the American League, uh, right in the middle of the MVP conversation, tied a Mariners record for most home runs with Ken Griffey Jr. before the All Star break. Happened in that same exact game to break his career single season record. We aren't even at the break just yet. Um, Also said that he's going to participate in the home run derby. It's the year. If we were in California with Arnold Schwarzenegger, he would say, "It's the year of the Tampa." It is.
Yeah, I mean, what Cal has done is unreal, right? Breaking catcher records for home runs, switch hitting home runs. The consistency around 270 this year with the batting average and pretty much 300 and above on the right side. Um, he's unreal, man. And the thing,
And
like, go ahead, go
platinum
ahead.
glove, coming off the platinum glove. It's not like he's just an offense first guy, man.
Yeah, and
He's the most well-rounded catcher to
yeah,
it for a season. So where we're at in this season, he is the most well-rounded catcher
yeah,
since maybe Salvador Perez like 4 years ago,
sure.
like 2021. Salvi was putting up power numbers, still good enough behind the dish, but I don't
Mhm,
think he wasn't as good of a pitch framer and wasn't throwing as many guys out as Cal is right now.
mhm. No, it's an unreal pace, right? Like Salvador Perez has, I believe, the record at 44 home runs in a season, and like Cal is on pace to break Judge's, you know, record. So, because we all know what the real home run record is, we know.
We know.
So, I mean, I didn't expect this from Cal to come the year, like, right? We're used to him hitting around 30 a year, and it's fun with Cal, no matter what.
Well,
And on top of that,
what
right?
he's doing from the right side is bonkers for him.
Bonkers. Bonkers.
Primary lefty, as a switch hitter, I think last year he had six, maybe seven homers righty with a
It's got like 14.
225 average. He's batting above 300. I think he's got 12 or 13 homers right now from the right side. It's insane. Like legitimately, Cal Raleigh left-handed is the leader in catchers home runs, and right-handed I think he's at third.
Yes, because Hunter Goodman and I forget the other catcher are at like 17 and 14.
Yeah, a little bit cooler of a week, but he's still putting the ball out of the park. And we'll get into that when we get into our hitters. But just wanted to give the flowers to Cal Raleigh on what he's been doing, and for him to be recognized by
Especially
everyone now.
everyone.
Everyone. It's
And
fun.
you,
It's fun when you have that player. It's early Julio. It's Ken Griffey Jr. It's Edgar Martinez. When they start getting talked about, Ichiro Suzuki. When they start getting talked about, Felix Hernandez on the national level,
yeah,
because up here in the Northwest, it is tough to reach, especially the East Coast. There's a big East Coast bias. They're not staying up till 10:10 to start
yeah.
watching a Mariners game. It's not happening.
Unless they're a Mariners fan. I mean, it's just awesome for him, especially because he signed the contract this year. And like
Good return on investment so far.
we thought last year was a banana year from Cal. We were all stoked, happy, like the future of Cal Raleigh's now, right? How wrong we were. Because he just set his single season record before the break. That's
He's
nuts.
and he's closely approaching 80 ribbies on the year. I think he
Yeah.
had 100 last year for a career high.
And like the craziest part is like
He's
there's
turned into a complete hitter. It's not
the
just clutch and swinging for the fences. It's still going over the fence quite a bit, but his double
mhm.
production, not just hitting in clutch time, has
Also the
really
walk rate.
improved this year.
Walk rate is up. Granted, he
Well,
is getting
it makes
intentionally
it really
walked.
easy when you're getting intentionally walked
Of
almost every
course.
other game right now, and
Of
sometimes multiple times a game.
of course. But outside of that, right? The walk rate's been pretty good this year. The strikeout's been not very high for him. Yeah, he still has a swing and miss, right? Power
Yeah.
first, but contact has been there. And dude, when he gets it, like when he just brings the hands through,
Oh,
and
when you have what he's got in the trunk, easiest way to say this is mass moves mass,
yeah,
and
uh,
that ass moves mass of a baseball over the fence more often than not.
yeah. I just Cal Raleigh's my favorite player,
He's
and
a lot of people's favorite player, but
I
let's
I
talk
just
about
don't
our
think it's
favorite team.
close.
Let's talk about our favorite team, Mariners. 5-2 homestand. 2-2 against the Royals. 3-0 against the Pirates. Very well could have been a 6-1 homestand. Cal had an opportunity in the finale to play to run and potentially win the game with a well placed single. He had runners on second and third, 2 outs, down one. Um, but I think realistically, this whole week came down to not just your starters. It was your starters and your bullpen as a combination. You had one bad start from Emerson Hancock, which led him to a demotion because Logan Evans was doing good things in AAA, and
As he always does.
giving Emerson Hancock that demotion down, I think was a good time to do it. You're going
Yeah.
into the break. You can kind of limit some innings, give him a little extra rest if you need to. But the Mariners this week, it was frustrating in the series with the Royals because I wanted three, I expected three, and to
Mhm.
only get two kind of hurt. Especially
Yeah.
when you had one guy that was just an absolute menace this week. We whiffed on our hitter to click this week because there was one real answer. That was Randy Arozarena. Holy smokes.
Mhm.
Holy smokes.
4 or 5 this week.
What a week from Randy. And but you still had a handful of other guys that were peppering things in. The offense didn't blow you away, especially in the Pirate series. But for the month month of July or June or whatever it was. I read some stat like the Pirates have the lowest ERA, team ERA, I think in July,
They're
and the
just
Mariners are number two.
they're very not the Pirates are just very not good.
They were not very good at scoring runs.
No, they're
The
not.
Jekyll and Hyde from going to
43.
St. Louis and shutting them out 3 games in a row to getting shut out 3 games in a row in Seattle. Not a
Yeah.
good look. It's the
No.
longest stretch, I think, of consecutive games participated in where there was a shutout. They're at 6 right now.
Yeah, it's they're not getting shut out today though. They aren't getting shut out today.
Good thing I'm not talking about the Pirates anymore after the series because I didn't even look. Don't care. Short hair, don't care. But just
Randy,
a the weekend, Friday included, the holiday weekend. Happy 4th of July to everybody out there. But for that long weekend, just what a if you're a true baseball fan to watch Saturday and Sunday's game, like that's
sit
I
them,
loved those
dude.
games. Those games
Sit
were
them.
awesome.
Yeah,
Loved it.
yeah. I got good things to say. Got
Loved it.
good things to say for Sunday.
It was great. All right, you want to hop into the top hitters of the week?
Yeah, hit me with Randy's stat line because I know he was the best hitter this week.
I can't because you did not have the best average this week because we go old school
Really?
stats. Top average this week with a 412 average on the week. Of course, it's Dom Canzone.
Dude, he's so fun right now.
7 hits, 1 run, 1 double, 1 home run, 1 RBI. He cannot hit guys in. He will hit himself in, and that's it.
It's
Don't
kind of
ask him to
like
do anything else.
it's kind of like you should just have him lead off the game, right?
No, you
It's
shouldn't.
like I
Please
know,
no.
but if he can only score himself, just solo diggers left
Well,
and right.
what's been crazy is that when he's had a week like this, you kind of see the guys at the bottom end of the lineup not moving him over and getting him in. I mean, the 1 run he scored was on his home run. He
Yeah,
412 average, like hit him in. Or there's guys in front of him, hit them in.
yeah,
It's just a weird spot to be in with Dom Canzone because the power showing up, the on base percentage is showing up, but the clutch hasn't really shown up. And when he does the clutch, like his clutch was a ninth inning solo homer. It's like, that old meme Chris Paul with the 3-pointer to cut the lead to 42 here in the last 5 minutes. It
yeah,
seems like it's usually a little bit, it puts you in contention where you're like, okay, we're here, and then ultimately they don't get the job done. But
yeah.
I want to see Don Canzone get a few more RBIs, get a few more runs scored.
Dude, I mean, just when he hits the ball right now, though,
It's hard.
ball's so scorched. I mean, can I bring up the one hit real quick that he just obliterated Bobby Witt Jr., a plus defender at shortstop, absolutely ate his lunch on a ball that was like 108 off the bat, and it was a one hopper.
One hopper,
Oh,
I think it hit the backside of the mound too, so probably a little funky spin coming off of that mound.
yeah, like absolutely barrel to
When they
ball
showed it in slow
ratio.
motion, it just looked like Bobby Witt whiffed, but then when you see the
Just ate him
the
up.
exit velo on it, like it makes more sense.
Yeah, like everything's flying off his bat, and it's hit really hard.
All right, next we're gonna go to Cain's pick to click, JP Crawford,
Yes,
357
sir.
average, 10 hits, only 1 run scored, 2 doubles, 1 RBI. The thing about this week for outside of a handful of guys, there wasn't a lot of extra base hits. There wasn't a lot of RBI production. There wasn't a whole lot of runs scored, right? We talked about that series against the Pirates where you won back-to-back games, 1-0. And your RBIs in those was a Randy solo shot on Sunday and
Ben
Ben
Williamson
Williamson
RBI double.
RBI double. So
No longer classified as a
still good
singles
numbers,
merchant.
right?
Yeah.
Still good numbers. Big shout out to JP. A couple of doubles
Also,
too.
Also, snub, snubbed.
If Jeremy Pena is healthy, then you can't make that argument. He's not right now, where I could say you could sneak him in, but the Mariners are, I think the Dodgers had five, Detroit had four, and the Mariners had four. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not talking about any more Mariners that are getting snubbed. Um,
I'm gonna die on that hill.
Speaking of someone that might have got snubbed, just Randy Rosarena. Uh, a lot to put in the stat sheet this week. If you're looking for a guy that filled the stat sheet and was the best hitter of the week, it was Randy Arozarena, 346 average, 9 hits, 6 runs, 6 homers, 9 ribbies.
Oh, oh yeah.
He came into the
It
series with 8 homers. Like everyone was chirping, like, "Oh, Randy, it's recency bias." Randy, before this series, Julio was sitting at 11 homers. Randy was sitting at 8.
now he's what,
Now he's at
14?
16 or 14.
16? Yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
14. Quick
14
math.
with the 6. And Randy has had stretches where he has big RBI weeks. We've talked about it, but
Yeah, we have talked about it. It is a great time to show up this week.
needed him.
Fantastic time
Needed him.
because yeah,
I
the
I
two home
got
run game where he went to when he went to right center.
oh
Ew.
yeah, six homers in 7 games, and I think he had 2 multi-homer games peppered in there. When you talk about the big boppers, they're at the bottom of this list. I have to throw in Cal because of the good things he did, and I had to throw in Julio because he was my pick to click. They were not near the top of this list, right?
No.
So when your guys that are batting 2 and 3 right now aren't producing up to what you expect, yes, you have to have a guy that steps up, and Randy did a very good job of that this week. Another guy that had a little bit of resurgence this week, Jorge Polanco, 316 average, 6 hits, 2 runs, 3 doubles, 1 homer, one
Finally
RBI.
hit another one. Finally hit one again.
It
And
was
he
smoke,
absolutely crushed it.
and his doubles were smoked too.
Yeah,
He's
it's good to
barreling up balls a lot more, and he's getting that little bit of loft back in his swing.
it's very good to see, especially with the recency of he's kind of hurt again, and he can only swing lefty, and it's just so nice to see him right and playing in the field and playing a decent second base as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be good for him to get a few days off for the break. I think
Yes.
that's going to be key. Another guy that I don't think he wants the break to come, but it's Luke Raley, 286 average on the week, 4 hits, 1 run, 2 doubles,
Crush those
no
doubles.
RBIs. The bottom of the lineup wasn't really putting a lot of guys across the plate this week in the RBI category. So once you got down to that 6, 7, 8 hole, you had some good things happening with Dom Canzone and Luke Raley, but they weren't getting hit in necessarily by the Williamson, the Cole Young. Not a great week for Cole Young, right? So, but Rayleigh's just chipping away, man, and just I
That's what
think
he's gonna do.
he's defensively playing a lot better first base than he did at any point last year as well.
Yes. Or to start the year before the injury. I've seen him snag a couple very hard hit balls at first and kind of starting to, make sense why Rowdy's gone.
Yep. And I was going to cut the list there before we got to Cal and Julio, but there's another guy that also clocked in with the 286 average, also had 4 hits. He had 2 runs, 3 doubles, 2 RBIs. Some might now call him a doubles merchant. It's
Doubles
Ben
Merchant!
Williamson.
Oh, wow. Has he really turned it on? Right? The base hits keep coming. It's almost every game now.
One of those was a very close hustle double,
Yes.
but
Yes. But it's good to see him swinging a good stick again and hustling out of the box. I've seen a little bit better effort about him getting down the line to first.
and he's still extending at bats, right? He's a tough
Oh,
out in the box.
and can we talk about how amazing his defense is real quick? Because is it fun
I think
just
he leads
watching
the American League first basemen in defensive run saved, and he didn't play in the bigs for a month and a half.
third baseman, but um,
What did I say?
first baseman?
Close enough. Corner
But
infielder.
the joy I get from seeing him feel the ball and not have to take an extra step to throw it to first, that's a lot of fun.
Well, and it looks like when he's throwing it to first that there's not a lot on it, and it's just a straight line right to the glove.
Yes.
It's awesome.
He does not do bounce hops. He hits the first baseman in the chest. It's accurate, and he has an awesome glove at third. I've seen him make play after play, and just round of applause for Ben Williamson.
All right, we talked about Cal at the beginning. We got to talk about Cal here because although he only had a 150 average on the week, he did have 3 hits. He did have 3 runs. He did have 3 home runs,
He
and he
did.
had 5 RBIs on the week.
I mean, it's still in par. The power's still gonna be there. Doesn't matter as long as he connects with it, right? Home runs are crushed. Fourth of July was awesome. Watching him hit two on the day of Dumper, it was great.
Oh,
He
that first one, righty up into
the
the
third
upper
the
bleachers.
almost hit it out. Yeah,
Yeah, the
crazy.
bleachers and left.
Demo hit it there when he hit the grand slam against the Astros.
Mike
Like
Zanino, he was in Mike Zanino territory for
I think
getting
Nelson
close to
Cruz
longest
lived up
homer.
there too.
Yeah, I mean, the power's undeniable. You got to see him get a few extra breaks with them facing lefties behind the on the mound from behind the dish. Garver got a little bit of extra run this week behind the dish, which
Yeah,
it was good to see because you got to give Cal's legs a
legs.
break.
Another thing, I just think everything with the All Star game right now is it's just so hectic.
Well, he's been on a lot of different shows as well, right? When they were in
Yeah,
Chicago, he's there with Barstool. He's getting interviewed like crazy. This is not what Cal Raleigh is used to, right?
yeah,
So you're putting a lot of extra pressure into yourself on the lead up on trying to become the All-Star game starter, make your appearances and all that stuff.
yep.
Um, Once everything was announced, you saw him really step into his own for a day. So it'll be interesting to see um, where he sits within this whole thing. Um, let that hubbub die down, but I expect him to have a pretty solid week, especially with going to Yankee Stadium. I mean,
Yes.
talk about a guy that can just shred Yankee Stadium's Cal Raleigh right now, and it'll be fun to watch him battle with Aaron Judge. And you know that Cal's going to step up to the plate in that one.
Yep. The two tough
My pick to click.
series.
Whoo! Julio Rodriguez, 107 average on the week. 2 hits, 2 runs, 1 double, 1 RBI.
I'm gonna get a little negative here. Julio looks to walk when he's up to the plate. He does not look for a base hit. He looks to walk, and that is his biggest problem right now. Um, his swing is not great right now. I know we talked about he's so starter and all. Timing's still an issue, and it looks really, really
I will
bad.
say the timing is the issue because there's a couple of middle pitches,
Fastballs.
especially fastballs that he's behind. But I'm hoping that he roped a double off Ball's gains.
Yes, he did.
Roped a double. It's still in there. The one thing that you haven't seen consistently, especially over this last month, is the loft that you're expecting, that potential to get the extra base hits. He's still hitting the ball extremely hard, but
Extremely
he
hard.
is hitting it on the ground. And a lot of times that's right to some guys. A few more of those sprinkle in, you see the confidence boost. You know, you're going to be seeing moves that are going to be made. There's a couple of guys that I think could be returning to this team in some form or fashion that have been thrown out there, which probably have a nice little trade deadline talk here very soon. But some names that you've seen floated out there are return guys like Gino Suarez, Carlos Santana. Carlos Santana was on this team. Like that's Julio's guy. If you bring Carlos Santana in, I think that it does some things, right? It costs you a Dom Canzone right now, I would say, because you still Carlos Santana can swing it from both sides of the plate. Do you keep does that mean that it's time for Solano to go goodbye? I don't know what that would entail bringing him in to play that first base. Could it do you more dividends like when you had Justin Turner, who Cal Raleigh attributed a lot of his success this year to the approach that Justin Turner talked about last year. Julio has never been better than that stretch than when he was playing with Carlos Santana and attributed a lot of that to Santana. Could it bring that loft back? I don't know. Right.
Yeah,
but he's got to get the
it's
timing fixed. And that's going to lead me to something else I want to talk about. Julio was not a participant in the All Star game last year. He's back this year. We'll talk about the merits of that here in a little bit. But if you just want to talk about a guy that puts on a show at the home run derby, if you want to have two teammates in here, it's been a little while, right? You had Hoskins and Schwarber were the last ones a few years back from the same team, but the home run derby might fix Julio.
I mean, it could.
Right? Like I want him to be practicing for the home run derby. I think that ultimately what you saw his first year making it deep into the derby, then the year at T-Mobile Park where he put 41 out in the first round, like he's electricity at a bottle at the home run derby. And you saw that translate over to success after the break. I
Mhm.
think this could be the numbers aren't there. He's not the high guy right now in home run totals, but I do think that Julio is an intriguing candidate who's had success in the
Sure.
home run derby to throw in there down in Hot Atlanta.
I think it'd be fun. Definitely it'd be fun.
I mean, the more Mariners I can have participating in more things during the All Star weekend, I will take.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
All right, let's flip over to the pitchers. Let's start off with the relievers with the 0 ERA. Your three relievers are Gabe Spire, Bazardo,
That is. It is.
and Munoz.
Yeah.
Matt Brash gave up his first earned run of the year this week, so he did not make the list. So he's sitting at just a really bad ERA of like 0.43 on the year. But Gabe Spire, Gabe Spire was him
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah, he was.
3 1/3 innings, 9 Ks, 0 walks. Like Gabe
Oh,
Spire was Hamothy,
he's back.
dude. When Gabe
He's
Spire
back.
is on, it's insane.
Oh, dude. And he's the only lefty we have that's a pitcher. Actually, no, it's not. We have a second lefty in the pin now because he got they called him up like
They called him
during the
up
weekend.
for a game,
Oh,
and he
yeah,
got set down to make room for Logan Evans. For
he's
Joe Jakes.
but
What did you love about the Joe Jakes, Sarah?
I didn't. I don't remember when he
They
came into
lost
the
the
game.
game, so I will not remember it fondly.
Sure, but Gabe Spire, man. Oh, he's so back from 2 years ago. So back. He's one of the pitching lab experiments that have just consistently gone right.
Yeah. Another guy from the lab, Bizardo. 3 innings pitched on the week,
It's
5 Ks,
crazy.
1 walk. What you're getting out of Bizardo right now
It's unreal.
is what you need because he still hasn't worked his way into the higher leverage situations. He's kind of right now.
He's what Trent Thornton was.
I was gonna say he was like early Brash in the pen. He wasn't your full on pivot guy.
Mm-hmm.
Brash when he first came in to that reliever role that rookie year when he came back up, he wasn't going right into the super high. You need to shut the door exactly right now.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of ease into it. You kind of see that role right now with Eduardo Bazardo, right? Because he's coming in, he's limiting damage, and he's right around a 3 ERA on the season. And he's given you multiple
Honestly,
innings sometimes, but he has come up in higher leverage situations,
yeah,
especially this week. He did it on Saturday. It's a 1 run game. You bring in Bizardo when he comes in and does
yeah.
work and gets you out of the inning.
I will say the ERA is blasted because of one blow up game. That's it. That's it. Eduardo Bizardo. We were calling for his head last year. And then
You
I said he
were,
looked, I
you
said,
were.
well, and
I
then
was
I
not
said,
calling for his head. Some of the action he had on his slider sweeper last year, especially I think it was against
yeah,
the Orioles, it was unhittable.
yeah, but it's just
He's
like
got the stuff.
from what it was last year to this year is unreal to me. And the usage that like continues with him because he's the most used reliever it seems right now. Uh
Poor
I can't
Casey
believe it's
Legumina. He's crying about it.
like Bizzardo is the run he's on right now is so dumb. It's so dumb. I don't understand it.
All right. Head over to Andres Munoz. 3 innings pitched, 4 Ks, 3 saves. Saturday, he was 1 pitch away from an immaculate inning. And that was the best that we have seen Andres Munoz all year.
Yeah.
He was untouchable.
Yeah.
He was locating the fastball. The slider was out of this world. I it was poetry in motion.
Yeah. I didn't like he's also back. He kind of had 2, 3 outings where he was a little shaky, but man, did he bounce back and bounce back well. All I say is authority. It didn't shut the door, slammed the door. He was
100%.
nasty, dude. Nasty.
So, um, Cal Raleigh's had a lot of firsts this year, right? So he's the first catcher to hit over 30 home runs before the break, passes Johnny Bench. The most home runs by a switch hitter before the break. And that leads me to this because out of one Emerson Hancock start that got him demoted, this is the first time that I have all 5 starters from this week in my pitching highlights.
Yes.
And
As you should.
it feels like last year. And I'm all about it. All right.
Oh,
Let's start with the worst of the bunch. And that's going to be Logan Gilbert, who had a 1.93 ERA on the week. He went 4 2/3.
not
Pitch count.
great.
We're still trying to get in and out of innings quicker, but 1 earned run, 7 Ks, three
Yeah.
walks.
Filthy in 4 innings. Filthy.
Yeah, he almost says he's got 2 1/3 innings worth of strikeouts in that 4 2/3. So half his time out there, he's striking fools out, and you're seeing the swing and miss. The
I'm
walks are a
back.
little bit higher than we're used to. He's still coming out. He's the Mariner that is most recently out of their starters off the injured list. I think the break's going to be good for him. Can build
100%.
up that stamina a little bit more, dial in that precision a little bit more. But yeah, just a great start from Logan Gilbert.
Yeah. 100%.
Let's talk about the other Logan because this isn't a guy. He has a 0 ERA, but I cannot talk about him later on with the other zeros because there's one guy that absolutely shoved. But we'll go to Logan Evans, 0 ERA, 1 game, 5 2/3, 3 Ks, 1 walk.
Just
Just got up there and did
efficient,
his job.
dude. Efficient. And as we've said before, dude, how filthy is his stuff? Like every pitch he throws has movement, and it boggles my mind every time he goes out there.
I
Love
saw a
Logan
report
Evans.
that someone said like the Mariners need to go get starters because Emerson Hancock, hanging on by a thread. Logan Evans has underlying stats that make it seem like he's due for it things not to go as well for him.
Mhm.
You've got Bryce Miller currently on the IL, should be back pretty soon. You've had Kirby Gilbert on the IL. You have Wu, who's traditionally been an IL guy. You had Luis Castillo at the end of last year that got a little bit banged up. But Logan Evans has been everything you've needed him to be
Mhm.
as that fringe fifth starter. And I think that he sticks there until Miller is 100% healthy and has proven that he's got the command back in the minors.
I just think like if I'm gonna compare Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock, it's I do like Hancock's stuff this year, right? The velo has been up. It's very nice to see strikeouts been up a little bit for him, but it's also he throws a lot of stinkers. He's still a pitch to contact first guy. Granted, that's what Logan Evans is, but it's also a lot more movement in his stuff. And I just every pitch, man. Every pitch has some weird movement to it.
I feel like you're saying they are similar. I think you typically get more longevity out of Emerson
Of
Hancock. You
course.
you see him pitching to contact and being able to get out of it a little bit quicker. Evans has been subject to a lot of long at bats, 7, 8, 9 pitch at bats,
Mhm.
which really drives down his inning count. You're really hoping that on the 4th of July that he was going to get 2-6 complete. Didn't get there, but what a stud.
Yeah. And it helped. You were up what, 4 or 6 at that point.
Yeah, they were grooving and cruising, so you could get into the bullpen a little bit that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Next guy we're to talk about is George Kirby.
Wow. Okay.
George Kirby, 0.73 ERA on the week, 2 games, 12 and a third innings pitched, 2 wins, 14 Ks, 0 walks.
Uh First game, just cut that one out. Sunday's game was absolute art. Him and Paul Skeens were going K for K,
Toe to
dude.
toe.
Oh,
I was sitting there and it harkened you back to tail end of George's rookie year, start of his sophomore year, where he would get deep into games. Uh, he's been
yeah.
coming off the injured list. The walks were up to have a week with no walks and 14 Ks. It was just a throwback to what we're
Well,
used to seeing with George Kirby.
he didn't show up curious. He showed up furious. I just George Kirby made me very happy this week because he limited. He toyed with everybody this week. It's exactly what you expect out of your number two. Like,
Sure. I don't know if
not
he's the number 2 this year, but
this year,
let's
but he was considered the number two coming into the year
sure.
behind Gilbert. Yeah,
I think he still had to unseat Castillo fully for that, especially with him having the injury during spring training.
yeah,
But let's go over to Luis Castillo.
yeah.
Talk about another throwback start. 0 ERA, 1 game, 7 innings pitched, 1 win, 8 K, 0 walks.
It's
And it was
Luis.
like we talked about last week. You needed him to get you 6.
Yeah,
In this game, you needed him to get you 7. You're playing in a tight game. Your higher leverage guys have been used quite a bit lately. And
um,
to get those middle high leverage guys some rest, you needed it. And Luis Castillo looked freaking amazing
oh yeah.
from the first inning till the last pitch he threw. He was dialed
Like
in.
after he struck the dude out and threw the fist up, oh, it gave me chills, dude, because it reminded me of when you went and got him. That's Luis Castillo that you traded for. Like, that's the dude who showed why he's an ace for as long as he has been. Like, as you said, he needed
Still
that
got
game.
still got it in him.
He will pop out and say, "I didn't hear no bell."
Yep, Randy
So,
Marsh. All right, last starter we're talking about is Brian Wu.
woohoo!
1 game, 1 win, 0 ERA, 6 innings pitched, 8 Ks, 2 walks.
It's Brian Wu doing what Brian Wu does. Absolutely dominating another team and continues to be the best pitcher the Mariners throw out there week in, week out. I he's cinema when he's on the mound. I don't care about the blow up games. He locks right back in when he needs to, and 100% deserving of getting his bid this year.
Yeah, and I had Castillo last week. You had Wu. We'll jump into the picks to click for the hitters, especially just based on the average. If you look at the underlying stats, Julio scored 1 more run than JP did. JP had 1 more double, same amount of RBIs. JP definitely had more hits. The average was there. What Julio does is typically more impactful when he does it, right? But JP, hands down, wins the week, was getting on, setting tempos for games.
Yep.
That's you. For the pitchers, you got to give it to Castillo. That
Dude,
extra inning worth of work.
I was that's what I meant when I sent you a text after. I was like, man, it's close. It's so close
Yeah.
because
I'll give
like
you the win on the aggregate for the week because it was so close. But
yeah,
we
I
both whiffed
agree.
on the ultimate, the top hitter of the week, Randy Arozarena, the top pitcher of the week, George Kirby.
Yeah, George was uh
I think that brings us back to tied. So we've got to break that tie this upcoming week. Kane, where are you at for your pick to click for the hitters?
for the hitters this week. We're not gonna keep dipping into the cow well. We're gonna let that one rest for a minute because you
You didn't
know
pick him last week.
I didn't pick him last week, and I don't know if screw
I
it.
don't know
We're
if I'm
going
going to pick
back.
him again. I don't know if I'm going to pick him again before the All Star break.
We're screw it. We're doing it. We're going big dumper. As you kind of stated earlier, we're going to be in Yankee Stadium, and also we're going to be playing the Tigers. I think that Cal's going to show up, especially in the. These are both playoff teams right now. Granted, the Yankees are now a wild card team, and that's wild. But Cal shows up in big games when you know it all arises. So give me Cal this week. I he just has to go bananas for the break. Has to. Coach Red, who's your pick to click for your hitter this week?
I'm going to double down with Julio. And I think that if he can get a little bit of loft back in his bat in Yankee Stadium, it's going to do him well. He's
Sure.
done traditionally well at Yankee Stadium. He's also traditionally done well in Detroit. I do think that you're getting to summer. They're both outdoor, fully stadiums, trying to reverse the curse on Julio and get him turning the ship around a little bit more before we get to the break. So that way it's no longer the marathon, it's a sprint to the end, right? The season's a marathon. Once you hit the All Star break, it's who has the best sprint to the end. And Julio has shown what he can do in the tail end of July
And
and August.
this
That's
is what we
Julio
need.
season.
Yeah, this is what we need because I don't know, man. I don't know if there's a shot at the division, but I think there's a shot at having the top wild card spot, and that's where I would like to be at the end of the year.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I still want them to go for the division and make the
Same,
moves to try and go win the division because
same.
there's no way to sugarcoat. We love the Mariners.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm going to stand by 95% of those guys on a hill for all of them.
Mm,
I love Ben Williamson, but if you can go get Geno Suarez, that's an upgrade. If you can go get Josh Naylor to play first base, and I don't know what you do roster wise there, you probably lose Masterboni and send him down, and then you put or can zone, right? But you go make those moves because you don't let good players get in the way of great players. And in the last calendar year, Geno Suarez has 140 RBIs.
yeah,
He's
he's
got
like
over 20
second or
homers.
third in the league right now.
Yeah, over 20 homers. Naylor is a perfect guy to slot in right behind a Luke Rayleigh in the lineup if they're both in there because Naylor sees a lot of pitches. He does have that sneaky pop too and
Mhm.
plays a pretty good first base.
Has great
So,
average too.
or O'Hearn, like you throw O'Hearn in there who's having a career year. Like there's you go make these moves for these players, right? And
100%.
but a lot of that's gonna facilitate with what's Julio doing, what's Randy doing, what's Cal doing. Those are your three metaphorical horses. And JP, I think you can sprinkle in on the fringe there. But
Yes.
if those guys are going right, you're going to be in a good situation. Two of the four of them are going right. They're playing teams who have been underperforming this year, and they have a 5-2 homestand. with just two of those guys popping off.
Yes.
You've seen what they can do against great competition. When you look at this year, they've beaten Tariq Skubal, they've beaten Max Freed, they've beaten Garrett Crochet, they've beaten Paul Skeens. They won every game when an elite starter has been on the bump. The Mariners starter steps up to the plate, gets the job done, and the hitters do enough to win the game. And that's what playoff baseball is. And you have the guys that have been that clutch gene in them. You've seen it from JP, you've seen it from Julio, you've definitely seen it from Randy Rosarena, and for sure you've seen it from Cal Raleigh. Getting a couple more of those pieces and veteran guys that have also done it is going to be key to progressing the rest of this year to not just a playoff appearance, but a playoff run.
Yes. I'm 100% behind that.
All right, let's talk about the other All Stars, and we're
All
gonna
right, we
do.
gotta do pick the click on pitchers.
Oh, sorry, you just got me fired up about hitters. I picked
Yeah,
Julio, just for the
yeah.
record. All right, who's your pitcher of the week?
Give me some tall man aura. I want,
Two starts.
yeah, I want Logan Gilbert to absolutely shred this week, and it's teams he has to shred. It's there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You beat the Yankees this week and put you ahead of them in the wild card, put you in the number 2 spot, and Logan's going to be a big part of that because he's going to go out there and absolutely deal this week. So give me Logan Gilbert, tall man energy, Coach Red. Who's your pick to click for the pitchers this week?
I thought about Logan Gilbert. I don't love him in Yankee Stadium for that first start, though. He has been a little bit more susceptible this year to the long ball, which kind of dampened him for me. But go ahead and give me a guy who's back to form. It's George Kirby going against Tariq Skubal on Saturday.
That's gonna be fun.
Go to Skeens to Skubal, and he comes out of that because right now people are talking who are the top three pitchers in the league right now are Skeens, Skubal, and Zach Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
If Kirby can go out and win against two of those, guess what? Maybe now healthy George Kirby is working his way back into what we know and putting him where he was at a few years ago as a Cy Young contender in his second year in the league. He has the stuff to be able to do it, and you saw that in full display this week. I think you're seeing him getting his timing, his routine is back. The walks were non-existent this week. Go ahead and put it up against the best team in the league right now, record wise. Go get that dub, George,
Yeah,
in
I
Detroit.
I I do think that it's a good safe bet. It really
With the
is.
way that the five starters that are on staff right now pitched this last week, you could pick any starter and make a very good case.
Yeah, I'm so close to going back to the well with Brian because he's just been so good. But I just think Logan's in for a big week. Feel it
And
in
when
the
you have the
bones.
opportunity for two starts, it's twice the chance for good starts. It's if you have a bad start, the second one can pull you back in,
Yeah,
playing the numbers.
yeah,
All right. So three other Mariners made the All-Star team. We've talked a little bit, danced around a little bit, and it is Andres Munoz, Brian Wu, and Julio Rodriguez. Um, what I'd like to do is play a little game with you on all three of them on did you think they were going to make it? And then follow that up with a should they have made it? And we'll start with probably the easiest one of the bunch, Andres Munoz.
yes.
Did you think he was going to make the All Star team?
100%. He's the best closer in baseball.
I agree. I thought that he was the best lock for the American relievers. Like Clase is still a stud, but
Hmm.
Munoz has been better this year. And
Yes.
especially with him getting that late recognition and getting added last year, the league knows about him more, which increases your chance. After you were a first time All Star, it's a lot easier to become a second time All Star, especially as a reliever.
Yes. I agree.
The other question, should he have made the All Star team?
Yes. Yes, he should have because again, that's reliever in baseball or a closer.
Yeah.
Closer.
What he's done this year outside of two appearances has been
Unreal, dude.
phenomenal.
Like,
Shut down, lockdown. Sometimes he get in a little bit of trouble, but his ability to work his way out of trouble.
works
The
better
guy
this year
has
than years past.
swing and miss stuff.
He's got one of the most devastating sliders in the league, outside of his teammate Matt Brash. Like the stuff, like his fastball is very straight. It's very straight. But when it's 102 and the slot he throws from, I
It's tough.
just yeah. I love everything that Mooney's doing. He is always my go-to reliever in MLB The Show. I slam doors with him. He's awesome, unhittable, and I'm really happy he's starting to incorporate change up a little bit. That thing is nasty.
All right. Next guy is Brian Wu. Did you think he was going to make the All Star team?
No, because of just the other amount of pitchers, right? And aces in the American
You only
League.
get so many starters that make their way
Yeah.
onto the team.
Granted, is Brian Wu going to pitch in the All Star game? Not a chance.
I think that it's actually a
There's
pretty decent chance just due on rest, right?
right.
When the rest days are.
I don't know if they're gonna really go starters because they do start loving to show love to the relievers. That's why they're there
You do
too.
get the starters for like the first 5 or 6 innings.
There. But I think it's awesome that he did. I just should he be there? Your next question? Yes. Yes, he should because of the year he's had. I believe he leads all pitchers in innings pitched because he's gone 6+ every start. There's not been one time he's been pulled before the sixth inning. Like, and multiple times he's gone 7. Brian Wu is an absolute workhorse this year and deserves every ounce of respect that's been put on his name this year.
Yeah. Did I think he was going to make the All Star team? No, I didn't. I don't think he had the national name recognition. I think that his consecutive 6 innings plus um, stat line has helped quite a bit. He had that one stretch where it was like one run given up, 2 run, then 3, then 4, then 5. And since then, he's been dialed back in. He's got a sub 3 ERA. I thought that there were going to be bigger names out there that were going to get that nod. Like we said, even as a starter, if you're putting up good numbers and you've made it before, good chance you're going to get it. Um, do I think he deserves it? 100%. What he's been able to do, and with the injuries you've seen from this Mariners team and their starting rotation, and with a little bit less consistency than you're used to seeing from Luis Castillo, he has been the backbone of this rotation to start the year. And the Mariners would not be in the position they are right now without Brian Wu taking the ball every fifth day and giving you 6+.
Yeah, he deserves every
And
ounce
the
too.
strikeout numbers are high and the walks are limited. And I think that's probably the other big thing for him was the amount of walks that he gives up. His walk to strikeout ratio is bonkers.
He's been the legitimate ace of the Mariners this year, so it's fun to see. I love me some Brian. Woohoo!
Now to probably the most debated guy right now since yesterday for all of MLB, Julio Rodriguez. Start with the first question. Did you think that Julio was going to make the All Star team?
No, I did not. Did not, and it's a multitude of reasons, right? Like the defense is there, but in my personal opinion, the defense is a little sketchy at times, right? Yes, we've seen the best start to Julio's like a season for Julio. But as we kind of stated earlier, like yeah, like the ball he hit off Paul Skeens, absolutely torched. I'm not here for singles by my superstar player that's been deemed a superstar. Not here for singles. I'm here for extra base hits. And when he does get a single or walk, I'd like to see him swipe more bags. I know they're trying to risk not him getting hurt because he's due for one every year, it seems. Um, but I did not believe that Julio Rodriguez was gonna make the All Star team. Coach, what is here? What do you think?
I did think that Julio was going to make the All Star team, where he was sitting in terms of war for outfielders. And a lot of that is buoyed by his defensive metrics, his ability. I know that you want more steals from him, but he's still sitting at a pretty good clip. He's a guy that when he puts the ball over the fence, there's not very many cheap shots this year for Julio, right? Um, you want the clutch to improve, but where you're sitting there, he's a guy that's going into this a two-time All-Star, still a young player in the league. He has big name recognition. He has the war to go with it. You could make arguments like I'm going to jump to the should he have? Probably not, especially with what you saw most of June and started trickling into July. The numbers haven't been great, right? He's
Oh,
had a weak pocket where it's been good, but outside of that, it's not been great. But what he's been able to do defensively, the guy outside of the misplayed ball on Salvador Perez, I mean, you watch this guy make a play that outside of PCA, I don't think people are making it. You look,
sure,
I think it was Brian Reynolds in Luis Castillo's start where Julio is full speed. Most guys don't even get to the ball, and Julio's in the air, careening into the wall. Most guys aren't touching that ball. That is a
sure.
double all over it. And to start the game, it set a tone for that. And
Mm-hmm.
although he might not be doing it with the stick as consistently as
Defensively,
we would
like
like to see, I do think that there are some guys that have a good case. But you look at it this way, people are saying Randy should have been in above Julio. When you look at the stat lines outside of this week, Julio has consistently been the better player. Yes,
yes,
does Randy have more RBIs? He does because he's had Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez on base in front of him for a majority of this year. Same thing in the early start with Jorge Polanco. Those guys were getting on. JP is JP has started to get on more. Julio has helped get Cal's numbers up in the RBI game, but Julio hasn't had that opportunity week in, week out because he's got JP and 789 trying to get on base for him. Those guys are at 789. You know, some of them are singles merchants, but usually your top hitters are batting 789.
yeah.
So it's
So,
been more difficult for him to get those. But when you look at the total of it, I can see
uh,
why he's an all star. Do you think he
yeah,
should have been an all star?
no,
Because you didn't think he was going to be. So I'm assuming you don't think he should be an all star.
no, I don't think you. There's multiple dude. Like, there's just a lot of reasons, man. For me, like, you're not paying Cal the superstar money. He's having the season that he's having, but you're paying Julio the superstar money, right? Like the big extension, the next kid. Like it's just kind of for me, it's not the hype that when you were growing up and it's Ken Griffey Jr.'s here, right? Alex Rodriguez is here. Those type of prospects. Cal Raleigh wasn't that guy, but guess what? He's here now, and I love it, right? Like when Julio has his August, oh, I am all over Julio because it's amazing what he does. And I just wish I could see it more on a consistent basis instead of this. Yeah, you hit the ball hard, but you also strike out a lot.
There's 162 games in a
I
season.
know.
I think with Julio, you do have to look at him. You can get so caught up, and we do. We do. You know, we're talking about Randy Rosarena this week, like he is God's gift to Seattle. We're
Yeah.
giving the roses to Dom Canzone, right? But Julio's manning center field every single day. He's going to be in contention for a gold glove.
Mhm.
He's going to steal bags, and he is going to, at the end of the year, be around 260 to 280 with the average. He's at 250 right now. You're going to see that home run number probably eclipse 25, probably over 30 by the end of the year. And he's going to probably be around the 30-30 club. Like, it's the totality of it. And when you look at a team that's constructed like the Mariners, where you aren't littered with superstars like you are on some of these other teams, like, you're relying on those pockets. And that's what we do, is talk about this week in, week out. If you have a couple of bad pockets, it really sours you on the player as a whole. If you're a casual fan and you look at Julio Rodriguez and you see a 250, and you look at box scores, you see a 250 average, and you're seeing 11 homers, and you're seeing 50 plus RBIs, you're feeling all right about where Julio is right now.
But if
But
you dive deep into it like we do, it's
it,
just it feels a little different because there are numbers that we know he can have, and then there's the numbers that he does have.
and there's so much discourse online, right? There's so many people like, you should trade Julio, get out of that money, do this. Like,
Nah.
the guy's been in the league for 4 years, and he missed out on the All-Star game last year because he was injured.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I'll ever get to that ship. I do own a Julio jersey. I love Julio. It's just the expectation I have for him and need of him, right? For this team as a whole is kind of what Cal's doing, right? Like, not at the same pace because Cal does have better power than Julio, right? But Julio's swing should the way he does swing it, right, should get way more pop than it is. And I just expect him to put the ball in the air more. Like, singles are fine, but like, get me a double more, because if he's on second, that's the easiest way to score because he's so fast.
Well, and if you really look at it, let's look at it in bigger picture. It's like, there's not many center fielders around the
Mm-hmm.
league that you would want on your team ahead of Julio Rodriguez. There's a handful.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I agree.
young Pete Crow Armstrong. Like, I could sit there and look at another All Star and say, would you rather have Byron Buxton on your team right now, or would you rather have Julio Rodriguez? The answer 100 times out of 100 should be Julio Rodriguez, right? But that's the burden of expectation, especially having that expectation flooded on you at such an early part of your career, right? You look look at the Orioles right now. No
Yeah,
one's saying trade Adley Rushman, trade Gunnar Henderson, trade them, get them out of here. They're scrubs. Look at what they're doing right now. Nobody's saying that.
right.
Nobody. And those are guys that are in year 3 and year 2. And Julio's sitting here in year 4 and is damn near a 20 WAR player already
Yeah,
in 3.5 years, sprinkled in
yeah.
some injury time. Like, take a breath, everybody. If this happens for another month and a half, then we'll have some discussions. It'll be a little too late because there's no way he's getting traded, but we can express our dislike for what's happening. But see what happens here in the next couple weeks. Being able, Julio gets juiced by going to the All-Star game.
Yeah,
He gets juiced by it.
he just needs to have a really good league. He just needs to show up against two teams that are considerably better.
Yeah.
The Tigers, I can't even. They're 25 games above 500. I 20 whatever games above 500. I can't say anything negative about them.
Oh,
Like,
thanks for bringing that up. Mariners are sitting at 48 and 42. That's a 533 winning percentage. They're 7 games back from Houston. They're currently sitting in the third wild card spot, 2.5 games above Boston, 4 games above Texas. They are 1 game behind the Yankees for the top playoff spot, and they are half a game behind the Rays for the second playoff spot. They are in prime position with their rotation getting healthier, with the bats doing more than they have any of the last 3 years on a consistent basis. Go make that push, go make that run. It's time. It's not just playoffs or bust, it's a deep playoff run or bust. It's World Series or bust. You're getting into that territory where the American League, for better or worse, is wide open this year. The
yes.
best team is Detroit, but Detroit still is a relatively young team. You have a guy in Spencer Torkelson who is a top 10 MVP candidate right now, maybe even top five, that was almost close to getting DFA'd during spring training this year.
Yes.
So there, you're going to rely on that. You have players within that team that excite you, but they've only had that little bit of taste. Granted, the Mariners have only had that little bit of taste, but the Mariners are, for better or worse, a more experienced team with
Mm-hmm.
longevity with guys in the league who have been to that and have a little bit more time to let that stew, right?
Yep.
And sometimes youth and exuberance, you don't know any better, and it's great. We talked about that in 2022, right?
Mm,
We talked about that. You don't know any better, just go out and do the damn thing. But
right.
what where the Mariners are at with their pitching rotation, what their bullpen's been doing, and being able to potentially go get a bullpen arm as well to
Mm,
sprinkle in that mix. This team can be very dangerous.
I agree. Uh, they're just a couple pieces away from really piecing it together, and I think they need a couple runs of like this week it was Cal and Randy, right? And I think they both went deep in the same game, and that's just something like not per se like hitting home runs and all. Like we just the bat, like Randy's bat was home runs, I believe a double in there and a couple singles. Like
No doubles.
but okay, well, you just still need the guy to be hitting like that, right? You need the JPs, you need the Cows to hit like that, you need the Julios to hit like that. You need the
Polanco.
Polo. I mean, Polo had a great week, right? And you need that to continue. You need you, like we said earlier, Dom Canzone needs to hit more with people in scoring position. Ben Williamson and I mean Ben Williamson's been getting on base, so I can't really complain too much about him.
That's all you
But
need him to do.
Cole Young is lost at the plate right now, so it's tough. It's tough. But I think they're a couple pieces away from really piecing this whole puzzle together and making a good run. I think, as you said, to the division, I don't know. The Astros are very hot right now and doesn't seem like they're cooling off. Best I'm hoping for is top wild card spot.
Yeah,
So,
it's tough
yeah.
that we haven't got as many followers from the listeners. So you can change that and make it untough or even good by giving us a follow. You can find me, your boy Coach Red, on X at the Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the Real _ Coach Red, TikTok at the Real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
You can find me over Twitter, Kane2406, TikTok and Twitch, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us, follow us, follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.